All right, guys, welcome back to another Anything Unhinged. I'm joined by Louie Sutherland. How's it going?
All good yourself?
You know what they do in the movies when they go take two? This is take
That's it.
two.
Yeah,
My
just
in
take
my internet's
17.
absolutely
It's take
terrible.
take 17. I think it's all good. It's
I
all good.
know, but yeah, we'll start off from. So obviously, I asked you about your festive period. I don't want to ask you about that again because you said you had a good one. It was about your niece and nephews and your son. So yeah,
Yeah,
that was pretty much the recap. So
there you go.
well, I'm on to my first like proper question. It was before we talk about your next assignment, your last assignment, obviously you went the first full 15. I did catch a little bit of it, but how did it first go? Or how did it feel first going full 15?
Yeah, I mean it was a good experience and a bad one at the same time. Obviously, um, I needed to go the full 15. I hadn't gone the full 15 before, and I haven't been blessed with a luxury, or say luxury, but a long amateur career, or and so forth, where I could obviously get the cage time and so forth. So the first 15, I always knew it was going to be tough. Even though I put hard graft in the gym, I put in hard work every single day, obviously, of my life. But I knew the first 15 was going to be hard. I'm glad I got it out the way, and obviously blew the cobwebs off and so forth. I know what I need to work on. But yeah, I mean, it's an experience I'm not going to forget, that's for sure.
Yeah, and it was a tough fight against Abraham Babley, and Abraham, fantastic fighter, and he's also on the same card as you. As you talked about there, what have you took away from that fight? I know you talked about there, great experience. What have you taken away from that experience?
Obviously, in terms of obviously the experience was great as a whole anyway, and so forth. But what I've taken away from that is realizing the areas where I need to obviously improve on and so forth. And as a fighter, as a martial artist, whatever you want to call it, I'm always looking to learn. So yeah, go in the full 15, managing the gas tank, or put when to push the gas tank and so forth, and all different things. There's always shoulda, woulda, coulda, and stuff like that. And I've looked back at the fight numerous times, and it's now time to sort of move on. And I know I can do the 15 minutes of hard graft, so it's not going to phase me the next time and things like that. But yeah, props to Abraham. He had a good game plan. He executed well, and that's something that obviously I need to, bring into my arsenal in terms of managing the rounds and so forth. And that comes with experience. And like I say to everyone that I speak to, I'm still learning on the job. I haven't been blessed with a long amateur career, or you know, and so forth. So yeah, I'm learning on the job, and that's the best way I learn. Yeah, that's it, mate.
Absolutely, and let's talk about your next assignment. Orlando, Florida, PFL
That's
Challenger
right.
Series versus Alton Meeks. Talk to me about obviously flying over to the States. That's big.
Yeah, no, it is obviously. I'm not sort of like getting too. Oh yeah, I'm flying out to America. When I say it to people, like, oh, you're going to the States, and it's like, yeah, I'm going to the States, but I've got an assignment. So for people on the
Yeah,
outside, it's probably like, they're excited and so forth. For me, I know I've got to go there and do a job. I've got to go and put on a show. So I've got that in mind. I'm thinking about the outcome rather than the leading up to it, and that kind of stuff. I've been thinking about the outcome. So it's great, and obviously I've never been to the States, so it's going to be nice to get out there. And again, that's where the big fights are made, right? I know obviously you got big fights over here and stuff, but that's when you're fighting the best people in the world. In international fighting is what I want to do. And yeah, I want to leave my mark on the US. So
yeah. If you thought our food was big or good, wait until you see this.
that's what I'm looking forward to. To be fair, some big milkshakes and some big burgers.
That post fight meal, that'll be the best one
That's
you've
the
ever had in your life.
that's the one. Yeah, I want supersize everything.
Back to what we were talking about. Talk to me about obviously the matchup. What I've seen from Alton Meeks. He has a lot of finishes like yourself. He likes to press forward as well. So I
hmm
think this is a good matchup for yourself. And this one was going to entertain the fans. So talk to me about the matchup and what you've seen from Alton Meeks.
Yeah, so obviously the matchup's great. Like I said, when you sign for the PFL, you sign for these big organizations, you're expected to be in the cage, stepping in the cage with, the best talent in the world. So, yeah, he's had a good career so far. I understand that he's a wrestler. He likes to push forward, and he looks for the finish as well. And I think styles make fights, and if you got two finishers, fighting each other, you know, you kind of probability is the outcome is going to be a finish, and that's what I'm more excited about, is the fact that we both want to impose our will on each other, and that gets me up, that gets me going. So I'm looking forward to it. He's obviously a good athlete. I know he's played football and stuff like that, or American football, whatever you want to call it. And so have I. I'm an athlete. I come from, a different sport background, and I've done combat sports all my life as well. So yeah, I mean, it's just another face, another name. They give me a name and a date, and I'm just like, yeah, let's go. I'm not one to be like, oh, who is he or what does he do? They give me a name and a date, and that's why I'm in the sport, so I can just, fight the best people at the best time. Yeah.
Yeah, you put the nail on the head there. Both guys, obviously, he's got a lot of finishes. You've finished all your wins, and
Yeah.
I believe, if I'm correct, saying he's finished all his wins as well. So it's tailor made. It's a great matchup.
hmm
And I presume after your last fight, going the full 15, you're like, I want to get back to finishing ways.
Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, I understand MMA is a game where, there's so many different variations of winning and so forth. But, I'm definitely a finisher. I want to finish people. It's what I thrive off. But again, if we take it the whole 15, and I know I've got it in the bag, and, you know, um, I do personally think when you sign up to fight me, you got to be lucky for 15 minutes, and I've only got to be lucky once. So in that sense, and not that I always are, I'm gonna always rely on that, but I know I punch hard, and these guys have to avoid that for 15 minutes. And yeah, I mean, the ball's in their court, really, isn't it?
I know. Obviously, we've seen your finishes in. I've seen it on Almighty, Fight Star. I've watched you obviously in 2022. You had a fantastic year. So 2023 it's going to be hard to match that. But I believe obviously the win on PFL is going to be fantastic. So I can't wait. Truly can't wait. And last question about the fight itself. What's going to be like the massive difference between these two on fight day?
In terms of the difference between him and me,
Skill,
or
yeah. What's going to be massive difference on fight day?
the massive difference between, obviously, I think myself is I don't really focus on my opponents too much. I don't think, oh, what does he bring to the table? Obviously, you study fights and so forth. I know what I've got inside of me. I know I've got the dog in me. If he needs to be unleashed, you know, I can call on him to get it going. But at the end of the day, I think the difference between me and him on fight night is I'm going to get my hand raised, and I think that's just that's the biggest difference.
And that's the ultimately that's what obviously you're looking for. A fantastic fight, as I mentioned. I truly can't wait for it. When there's heavyweights inside the cage, it's it's about to go down, and obviously we've seen your track record as well, so absolutely phenomenal.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Moving on, PFL. This brought a smile to my eye, to my mouth. PFL released a
I didn't
video.
know your eyes could
Um,
smile, to be fair.
People have released a video talking about you and how they like you as a fighter and how they want to bring you back. And I was just thinking, does that feel good that you're getting the recognition from obviously the company?
Yeah, for sure. It was nice to see, and obviously I don't do that to obviously gain anything in the future. I'm just myself. When I'm around people, whether it's the CEO of a company, or this person, or the cleaner, or wherever it might be, I'm just myself, and I feel like I'm an easy guy to get along with. And I'm just, as I said, I'm just myself, and hopefully it kind of it transcends onto other people. And if that's why they want to bring me back, because they feel that I've got something, or I'm likable or sellable, it doesn't matter to me. I'm just glad that obviously they're having me back, and my own personality, it's not a facade, it's not put on, is obviously, yeah, getting the recognition. And people want to see me fight, as well as you know being relatable outside of the cage, but also being a killer inside the cage. And I think I like that kind of style.
I think the PFL want two Scotsmans inside the PFL main roster. I think two make better than one.
Definitely, for sure, definitely, for sure. And obviously, you know Scotland got a proud history, proud fighting history. And to fly the Scottish flag means nothing. You know, it means so much to me in terms of, you know, for the people of Scotland and so forth. And you know, I'm not doing it because I want to round up, you know, the Scottish people. I want them behind me. That would be great, but I'll do it for personal reasons. You know, my dad was a proud Scotsman. You know, tough Scotsman from Glasgow, and you know, Scottish heritage has always been drilled into me, and you know, the fighting Scots and stuff like that. And there's, you know, it means so much to me to fly the flag, and I'd love to be the second person to fly that flag in, obviously, in the main league and on the roster. So I'm all for
Yeah, I was going to try and attempt a Scottish Glasgow accent, but I didn't want to embarrass myself, to be honest.
it. Give
My last
give
few
it a go.
questions. I was going to go Glasgow, but that doesn't
Nah,
sound right.
you're
That
way
doesn't
off. You're
sound
way
right.
off. You're way
See,
off.
I knew I'd embarrass myself. Anyway, my last few questions I have for you. Obviously, I've seen in recent months. I presume that you've been so frustrated because you've had 2 fights now cancelled, and I believe on the Fight Star one, that was on the day, if I'm correct. Or actually, on the day, or maybe the day before that you actually meant to fight. So, talk to me about how frustrating has it been, obviously, trying to get a fight in these last few months.
Yeah, it's been really frustrating, and obviously not many people know this, and it's obviously it's quite predominant in UK MMA as, in general. I think that, you know, you have pullouts and people don't want to fight you; they want to protect their records and things like that. As soon as I took the loss on PFL, I was calling around other promoters. Obviously, I got the permission from the PFL to fight outside the organization because obviously they were focusing on the final and things like that. And I was like, look, I want to be active. You know, fighting is what I do best. Let me get in the cage on a, you know, smaller promotion. They're going to match me well. You know, let me just stay active before Christmas and so forth. But I had a pullout 2 days before the fight on Fight Star. Rung around so many other promotions, anywhere. You know, selling myself short. To be fair, it's like, look, I'll do it for this. I'll do it for that. It doesn't mean nothing. I just want to fight, but yeah, I think the UK MMA is great, but I think on the regional scene, it can be quite weak sometimes. It's hard to get matches. And I'll be honest with you, even European matchups, it's still hard. I think I've had 12 pullouts this year. Um, you know, and, you know, not many people know that. I don't sort of shout it from the rooftops. I'm not like calling people out, going, why are you pulling out on me? But yeah, I mean, 12 pullouts. I mean, the 13th isn't going to really do much to me. I just have to keep plodding along and plugging away until obviously now I've got the match up again with PFL. You know, that's what I'm about, and it's the organisation I want to fight for. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's been
12,
frustrating though for sure.
yeah.
So
I remember that
oh,
Fight Star one. And then I believe the event got cancelled. I can't remember literally off the day. I can't remember why, but I remember that.
that's right. So my opponent pulled out a few days before.
Yeah.
Shit excuse really, but again, everyone goes, "Oh, it's MMA. It happens." It shouldn't happen, but yeah, you know, he pulled out, and then I think on the day of the fight, I think there was a few guys already. Everyone had weighed in. I think there were structural issues with the arena. I think Crystal
Oh.
Palace Arena was the structural issue, so I think the local authorities said no, we have to cancel the, whatever it may be. So again, I tried to look for a few weeks after because I was obviously fit, ready to go, and again, nothing. Everyone was like, no, we can't find anyone, and I
And it
was
was
like, oh man.
then you had Levels Fight League, but then obviously you got the PFL shot.
That's right. Yeah, shout out to Levels Fight League. I've always been in contact with them. They're great guys, you know, very open and so forth. Good show as well, good European show,
Yeah.
and they got some killers on there. You know,
Mhm.
I always reach out to them, and you know, I was planning to go and fight out there, but then obviously I got the call from the PFL again and said, look, we got a date for you, February, and I was like, yeah, I had to obviously let Levels Fight League down. You know, they took it quite well. They understand that, you know, these opportunities don't come around very often. So yeah.
Then my last question I have for you, Louis. Vanilla Gorilla, where does that originate from? Where did it stem from?
I was in the gym. It's when I first sort of started MMA. I was wrestling with someone, and they were like, "Man, you're like a gorilla. Like you're so strong or whatever." And I was like, oh, thanks. I guess that's a compliment. Then he was like, no, you're like a vanilla gorilla. And I was like, yeah, that sounds like it. Yeah. And then ever since then it's stuck and people have gone, oh, why don't you change it to this? Or but I just think it came so natural. It was just one of them things off the cuff, and I've just ran with it now. And yeah, I guess a vanilla silverback, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, that's how it stuck. And you know, some people are like, oh, that's quite a unique name. And then I've heard other people, oh, this guy's called the Vanilla Gorilla. But, you know, I'm the Vanilla Gorilla. So that's it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for your time. Absolute pleasure. I wish you the best of luck on February 2nd. And your PFL Challenger series is going to be a fantastic event. I hope you bring it home back to the UK. Phenomenal.
Thank you. Thanks so much for your time. I'll speak to you soon.